Hello student, welcome to my Alti class. So today in the Alti class I'm just going to start a poem and that's in your syllabus. This is Ozymandias of Egypt. Okay. So Ozymandias of, before discussing the poem and get entry into the poem, we just could have to discuss into various points. So I just have noted down here on which point I'm just making this lecture so that it might be helpful to not only to understand the poem, even the background and even the every part that's being important for you to understand the poem. So first of all, Ozymandias of Egypt, it's a very wonderful poem and it's composed by the well-known romantic poets of the Romantic era, one of the most noted poet, that is Percy Bysshe Shelly. I think in the general English you already read one poem by one of the Romantic poets. He is John Keats, A Thing of Beauty. Then here is also, we are going to read one of the beautiful poems of the same era and it's composed by this poet. Percy Bysshe Shelly was born in England in the year 1792. So almost he belonged to the first half of the 19th century and Shelley, of course, he's a romantic poet, but though he's a romantic poet, we find some kind of the different trend always in his writing, whether in his work and poetry, everywhere. That's because which make Shelley somehow different from rest of the other poets of this century and even his contemporaries like Wordsworth, Coleridge, Keats, Byron and all that. So how he is different? Okay. Percy Bysshe Shelly, he was definitely well known and even being known as one of the finest lyrics, especially for his radical views, radical political and social views throughout his writing, and it's wonderful. Okay, though the romantic poets, we just always find that they are always been focusing on the beautiful nature, the take up the things from the nature and then compose the poems, of course. But though he belonged to this trend, this era, but besides, his poetry is somehow different, that he always focuses some things like that's being different, okay, the political and social views. Even in his writing, even in this poem also you get the same idea that he is just radically different, He's against of the authoritarian role, okay, the monarchy, the system, that's being running on at that time in England and all that. He just against of that. And towards his writing, he wonderfully tried to focus on this poem. So that is Shelley. And here in this poem, Ozymandias of Egypt also, he just shows, and even he just against of this power, the authority, that fame that one could always be proud of one's life, but while always ignoring the fact that all these are actually the terrestrial things, which definitely have to end up being declined one day. So this been beautifully focused in this poem. So this is a little bit of idea about the poet Shelley, who composed this poem. Then, of course, we go to another part. Every poem has its some form, that in which literary form it's being written. Sometimes we find the form of ode, a ballad, lyric. Okay, so this particular poem, Ozymandias of Egypt, it's a sonnet. So now you have to know what is a sonnet. I think you just have listened already what is sonnet. So sonnet means little song. Okay. It's a little song. Little song in the sense here there is a limitations of line. It's not much more than that. And this limitation is only of 14 lines. So it's a little song. Sonnet and simple. And it derives from the word sonetto. I just already have written the board. So just look at it. This is sonetto. S-O-N-E-T-O, sonetto. So it derives from this word, sonetto. And originally, the term sonnet, it's originated in the 13th century. So if you are asked to answer what is sonnet and where it is originated, sometimes there might be the questions of 2 marks, so you should have to remember some points like sonnet. So it's a 14 lines. Okay, it consists of 14 lines. It derives from the word sonetto that I already have written here. It means little song and it's originated in Italy. In which century? In the 13th. In 13th century in Italy, sonnet was originated. Okay? And now another important thing is how many categories that we have. Okay? Of course, sonnet in detail you don't want to need more, but besides I'm just speak of 2 lines on that, so that it might be helpful to you. So sonnet in, of course, if we discuss the categories that it belong, these are 3. Okay, 3 special categories sonnets are written and composed by the poets. One is Petrarchan. That's another name is Italian. Okay, of course, it's originated in Italy, and therefore the another important form and the category that in its special that category is being written in Italy. So it's being called Italian sonnet. Next we have by the greatest dramatist of the world, that is no other than Shakespeare. So another part is Shakespearean sonnet. And the last one we have Spenserian sonnet. And among these 3 categories, I just repeat, first one is Petrarchan, second is Shakespearean, and the third one is Italian. So here this poem, Ozymandias of Egypt, it belongs to the first category, Italian. Okay, Italian sonnets. And even whom we call also Petrarchan sonnet. So this is this category to which Ozymandias of Egypt belong. This is in the form that the poem is being composed. In case of sonnet also, this 14 line, how it's divided into the poem, this lyric. So here also we get the category. This 14 lines, usually in Italian sonnets, we have this 14 lines category, different lines divided into 2 particular category. First stanza is octave. Okay, octave consists of 8 lines. Then we have another category. This is sestet. Okay, sestet. It consists of 6 lines. So 8 plus 6 is 14 lines. So this is about sonnet. This Italian sonnet. Okay, particularly, you don't need more. Only for 2 marks it's enough that you should have to remember the definition of sonnet, and of course the to which time it just belongs and the divisions. And later on we discuss the background of the poem. Okay, so as it is named Ozymandias, no, we should have to know something about this name Ozymandias, who he is. Okay, so about whom Shelley composed this poem. Ozymandias, as far as the introductions, it just belong the most famous pharaoh of the 13th century, the same century when the sonnet was begun. So Ozymandias, he is another name, most famous, that is Ramses II. Ramses II. So who is Ramses II? This is Ozymandias, the another name, Ramses II. And he is a great Egyptian pharaoh. Do you know what is Pharaoh? Pharaoh means Badshah, king. So Ramses II, he is a great Egyptian pharaoh, and so far as the century belong, I think I told you, it's 13th century, and he is the third ruler in the family. He is the third ruler, okay, of 19th dynasty. Here, I'm just here. So Ramses II, he is an Egyptian pharaoh, and he belonged to 13th century. Okay. And another important thing about him is that he is the third ruler. He is the third ruler of nineteenth dynasty. Dynasty, of course, you know, it's a simple word, just like the even in India also we have several dynasties where the king rule over, just like the Mughal, then even in Assam, Ahom and all that. So these are the dynasty one after another. It's been continued. So from that he belonged to 19th dynasty. So this is an introduction of Ozymandias. You should have to remember. I just repeat. Ozymandias was Ramses II. This is his original name. His another name, most famous name. And who is he? Ramses II is an Egyptian pharaoh. Okay. And he belonged to 13th century as a ruler. Okay, he ruled over in Egypt in the 13th century. And to which dynasty he belonged? It's 19th dynasty. So these are the things just you should have to remember about King Ozymandias. And then of course now we can get entry into the poem. So what the poem is about? Ozymandias of Egypt. As the title itself shows that here Shelley, he just dealt is the poem, especially this leader of the 13th century was a great Egyptian pharaoh and who almost ruled over in Egypt 66 years. It's of course a long time. And the king was especially known for his arrogant nature. Okay, so he was very proud ruler and being feel pride of himself, of his actions, his deeds, etc., his fame, status. That's people getting scared of him. So as a ruler, he just always wanted to show or to himself, to prove himself to be as a mighty ruler of the time, okay, more than in comparisons to his contemporaries. So whether this dream gets succeed or not, this is his lifetime dream that he has. Even after his death also, he always want to remember, he want to immortalize himself in the mind of the people throughout his fame, money, status, the deeds that he earned during his lifetime. And while keeping that in mind, he just instructed or ordered, okay, one of the most skilled artists, the sculptor of his region, to make the beautiful statue. And this statue could be likewise that each part of the statue, suppose that it's part of him could express what kind of the ruler he might be, he used to be, he was at a time, and nobody could ever surpass him, his domains and all that. So keeping that in mind, he ordered his sculptor to build a beautiful statue, and of course the sculptor obeyed his order and he just built a wonderful, a beautiful statue. And the most important thing is that years back, when this statue is visited by the people. What is the command of the people? Okay, suppose you're just moving as if you visited that statue in the deserted land, which is just keeping alive there. And of course, while visited that statue, what would be your comment about that king? Okay, when the king just instructed and even ordered his sculptor to build while keeping those and those things in his mind, and when one visited that statue and suppose his commands is somehow different and it's not similar to the thinking of the king, then what it would be. So all this is about the point. What is lasted actually, whether it's the intentions of the king that during his lifetime, what kind of the things, the achievements that he got, he did, the fame that he earned, the money, the capitals, everything. If people remembered him for that, or if people remembered some other thing throughout that statue, which one is successful? Okay, because successful of that particular thing is a lesson, it's a message throughout this poem that Shelley wants to give you or the world of the people. So before reading in between the lines of the poem, I just want to discuss about the main theme that I already have told you about the king Ozymandias. And the poem starts in a way that our narrator, he was just met a traveler, okay? And that traveler, he was just coming back from Egypt, okay? So on his way back from Egypt, he visited a deserted, he just met somehow, he witnessed something in a deserted land. And on his way back from Egypt, he met the narrator. Or in other way, you just could say that yes, of course, the narrator made a traveler on his way back from Egypt, give a message to him. He just conveyed a message to the narrator. So what is that message? That message is itself a poem. That's a poem of Ozymandias of Egypt. The message is that throughout the language of traveler, that he visited a trunkless land, a huge statue. Okay, so a huge statue in a deserted land, far away. Okay, miles and miles, nobody there. Okay, it's a lonely land, a deserted land where only a statue is being standing against of the land. But fortunately, the half part of the statue is there, because the upper part of the statue, he noticed that it just getting scattered here and there, and all it's found in the half sunk conditions in the desert, in the sand of the desert. So what does that mean? So then he just observed the visas, visas in the sense the facial pores, okay, that scattered nearby the trunkless legs of that statue. And then the traveler, the message that he conveyed to the narrator, that every part of the visas, it's just shouting something. So what is just shouting? What kind of the message that it gives? Say that his lips, his eyes, overall, okay, faces, it just gives an information that he is to be a ruler, okay, a kind of the arrogant people who just always wants to know only one thing. Perhaps he lives the entire lifetime, perhaps he uses his lips only to order the people. Okay. So these are the kind of things that he shared with the narrator. And now we find the first 8 lines of the poem about this. Okay, what he looked at, what he visited into that desert, into that land. And the second part is that it's been consist by the poet about his own views, and of course it's related with the he shares or he perhaps praises somebody else. Okay, so whom he praised? First, my question is, whom built that statue? Of course, a sculpture beautifully carved, through his skill. Okay, he's a very skilled hand, and through that art he beautifully carved the every parts of the face, like its eyes that the ruler used to be, its lips, its eyebrows, head, forehead, everything. Okay, so everything. He just wonderfully drawn it, wonderfully carved it. And when the traveler shows, then of course it's so many years back. The traveler never personally met the king. He just only conveying the message while looking at that statue. And then the traveler told the narrator that yes, that ruler, okay, he might be a proudy in nature. He was definitely being known for his vanity and arrogant nature. Perhaps during his lifetime he never used his lips for anything else except ordering and all that, etc., etc., etc. So now what else? What information that we get from these discussions? Yes, only one thing is that the traveler never praised what kind of the ruler he was, but he praised, and even Shelley throughout the poem also gave us the message that this is the beautiful hand, the beautiful, the skilled quality of that sculptor who wonderfully, carved everything, and he just success to give a life to a lifeless thing. Okay, and there he got succeed. And by that, the poet just coming to an end of the poem, that what exists on art actually, never the fame, money, capital, your status, your positions, your way of ordering the people, but perhaps it's only the art. Art is something which could never decay. Nobody could ever end it up. Okay? After everything is being gone, the art could lie. It could exist among all. So throughout that, there he made a beautiful comparisons in between the terrestrial things of the ruler and, of course, the transient nature of the artist, the immortal quality of the artist. So this is the end of the poem. And of course we just discussed a lot. I think for today it's enough. Just you have to remember, you got a several idea about the introductions of the poet, who is Shelley or what kind of the poetry that he being composed. Then we discuss about sonnet, that the poetry Ozymandias of Egypt, actually it is in that form. Then what is sonnet? You should have to remember something. Then I wrote, then even I repeated it also. And then finally, who is Ozymandias, okay, what kind of the ruler he used to be, and then the theme of the poem. Okay, for I think in my next class I will go or start in between the lines of the poem. So till then, bye and stay safe.